Welcome back to One Piece Anime Re-Review, Part 19D. Yes, we finally finished up the Enies Lobby arc. Yes, basically episode 304 to 312. Pretty much the way you look at it is that from 304 to 309, it's simply the continuation of Luffy versus Rob Lucci. And yeah, it's a fight that lasts for a pretty good period of time because all the Straw Hat stuff basically related to this arc, it's mostly wrapped up basically on the Bridge of Hesitation waiting for Luffy and they all got there because Buster Call's going on. So, yeah, and then Sanji disappears. Where does he go off to? He goes off to a operating station in the Bridge of Hesitation to close the Gates of Justice. Does complain a little bit later. And at one point, Luffy shows up what Gear 3 is. It's him doing this. Like blowing, is basically biting his thumb. Almost like breaking right through the skin. But he's rubber, so. And he blows up and basically makes a gigantic arm. Making an arm of a giant and punching Rob Lucci right in the freaking face. Making a big hole in the wall. Landing him on a battleship. And, of course, the Marines are complete idiots, with the exception of their captain. He's like, "Who are you? And why are you here?" And he's like, "Don't touch him. That's Rob Lucci." And they explain an interesting story from his childhood. Apparently, when he was 13, I think he's like pushed by 30 now, where he was sent as an envoy from the world government to deal with a situation in some kingdom. It reminds me a lot of Alabasta. The king is very much like the king of Alabasta, where he doesn't want to attack his citizens, and the two people closest to him are kind of like the guardians of the country. Oh, good. Yeah, and it's very similar to Alabasta. The difference is the world government steps in, and what does Rob Lucci do? First try taking the ship himself. It's like, yeah, he takes it to him just by simply using Iron Body, and then he's locked in the warehouse with 500 of this country's soldiers, and instead of freeing them, he decides to kill all of them. His dark justice. And then he goes to Pirate Crew. Pirate Crew also wants to take up the country, by the way. I'm not really sure what this Pirate Crew want to do this for. Yeah, it's like his flashback is very much a cheap ripoff of Alabasta. Some people might look at it that way because the Cap is very much like Crocodile. The difference is he's working for the freaking world government. And Rob Lucci proceeds, after he kills these soldiers, he proceeds to massacre the entire crew all by himself with his bare hands. No guns. He just uses his bare hands and he kills the entire crew in less than a span of about 5 minutes. And despite the fact he did take care of the situation, the king is not very happy with him because he murdered 500 of his own citizens. And he says, well, all I did was kill criminals. And he's like, what was their crime? And Rob Lucci said, the crime was being weak and surrendering to pirates. That was their crime. And this was relayed by an admiral. And what did the Straw Hats do? Well, they proceed to beat up a bunch of Navy guys. And one of whom, apparently, a couple of them got different powers. One basically turns on Marvel. And then the other one basically has got a rust power, which he proceeds to basically rust and break one of Zoro's swords. Yeah, this sword, I mean, this is actually a sword he actually got from Rogue Town, mind you. He's had it since then. And now it decides to do this. Yeah, for the first time since, I would say, the Barate arc, he's had to get a new sword. This time it's only one sword, not two swords like last time. I believe this is one he got for free. This is not the cursed sword he's got. This is the other one that was basically destroyed. And yeah, he's basically with two swords for a little while. He does get a new sword in Thriller Bark. I will be discussing that and how that arc pretty much sets up a lot of story arcs throughout the series. And I can't wait to discuss that one because that one is quite interesting of a story arc to tell. Well, in the anime. So, basically after Luffy goes to Gear 2 a lot while fighting Rob Lucci. At one point it looked like Luffy is about to be defeated. And then Usopp takes out his Sniper King mask and tells Luffy to get up, and then Luffy gets up and he proceeds to finish his fight with Rob Lucci, and he wins. And it's relayed via the Marine. One of the Marines says, "I have a report. Rob Lucci has been defeated by Straw Hat Luffy." And of course, Straw Hats all cheer about it. Also, at one point when they were like running before they got to the bridge station, the place got flooded because of Rob Lucci and Luffy fighting. So it turns out that Konkoro is a mermaid. It turns out she's an ice fish mermaid, which is interesting to say the least. They don't really go into it very much because Sanji's like not interested at all. Yeah, that's why. And here's the thing: according to her, when a mermaid turns 30, their fin can actually split into like almost like legs. Yeah, and of course, Frank is like, "Put your clothes back on." Yeah, and she apparently lost her. Don't worry, she goes to get her shirt back. Don't worry about that. So Luffy basically cannot move, and everyone's like so exhausted from all the fighting. Yeah, it's really exciting. It's very similar to how it's like you can kind of say this fight between the Straw Hats minus Luffy versus the Marines. It's very similar to how the arc started. Yeah, it's like, okay, Luffy had his turn going against a bunch of Marines. Now it's our turn. Yeah, all the Straw Hats, except for Chopper. Yeah, he doesn't do anything. So lucky enough that Sanji went with and of course the Perp Mohawk guy. I don't remember the guy's name. If you guys remember the guy, I might look at the guy later because this guy does return for Amazon Lily, and he basically fires on the ship they were about to steal, the escort ship. Spada himself gets himself off the bridge of the station. It's not shown on screen for some reason, where he gets off the bridge and he gets on a battleship. And then, of course, Usopp hears the mysterious voice again. And it turns out to be the Going Merry. Yep, the Going Merry. Somehow it got here, despite the fact it fell in the ocean when it was last seen toward the end of the Water 7 arc. So it finally makes its return. And of course, well, Usopp's like, everybody, jump into the sea. And, well, Luffy goes first, then Usopp, then it's Sanji and Robin. And then it's like pretty much like almost everybody else. Like, of course, Kokoro carries her granddaughter and her cat, and her granddaughter's cat. And of course, Zoro basically jumps off with Nami. Yeah, and they all go on to Going Merry. And they're like, okay, how the heck did the thing get here? And that's how episode 310 ends. 311 is their escape because the gates closed. The whirlpool showed up and they basically missed their shots. And thanks to Nami's very expert navigating, they're able to avoid all the battleships and go out to sea, no problem. By 312, they're pretty much already at the sea. And they're there for, I'd say, about a day. And it seems like, oh yeah, Frankie's on the Going Merry. Which makes him the last person who does join the crew later to officially be on the ship. Yeah, him, Konkoro, and Konkoro's granddaughter, and the cat, who is basically looks like a rabbit. Yeah. Where they pretty much just, the last people stay on the ship, they're basically here. And of course, Konkoro takes Luffy over to his special seat, the sheep's head. Yeah, it's like this for a little while. And then all of a sudden another ship shows up. It's a Gallic Company ship. And then something really bad happens to Going Merry. It snaps. Oh my gosh, it snapped. It's kind of similar to what they show in Titanic. Difference is Titanic broke like basically like up downward, where basically like, oh, it's like going down and thing just snapped like this. It's very similar to that. And then like, oh, fix the Mary, and of course Iceberg's like, there's nothing I can do for her. Yeah, it's all shown. There's a bit of a flashback where this perfect Akgloom was coming. He proceeded to fix the ship up so at least able to sail one last time, and everybody's back with the ship. And then Luffy gives the Going Merry a Viking funeral, and then proceed to have very good stock footage of various like adventures that they went on throughout. Ever since they didn't show exactly the clip when they first got the Going Merry. That would have been nice to show here, but they show a lot of the other ones, like when they went to Skypiea, Rogue Town. It's absolutely fantastic about the year. I got handed the toy, basically, the studio who made this series, made this last episode of Enies Lobby arc so well done and so respectful to the fact that of how the scene plays out. And apparently the Going Merry can talk. Yeah, this is the only episode that actually speaks. And in its ship form, not in its... And it's kind of just a callback to toward the end of Water 7, where... Okay, yeah, where it mentions about what happened in Skypiea, and according to Frankie, it's no sailor's legend of how he describes it. Yeah. And there's a flashback of which I appreciate them doing that. And, well, ship sinks. And that's the arc ends with the sinking of the Mary while being burned. Yep, that's the last time I see the Going Merry in this series. Though they do kind of bring it back. Yeah, Frankie kind of brings it back in that very next, though, not the next direct arc per se. He does bring it back a little bit later on another ship that's kind of like a small version of the ship. Which I'll explain out when I get a chance to talk about the very next arc of the series, which debuts the new ship that they will have still to this day. Yep, I will be discussing that when I get a chance to talk about post Enies Lobby. I'm already about a couple episodes into it. I'm still going to probably be watching the arc. Despite the fact, yes, I'm still going to do ReZero today. Yes, I know there was an episode release today, so I figured out I watched that and I can go complete focused on One Piece after that. Yeah, I kind of have an idea now of what series I'm going to do next. I kind of decided I'm going to do Cimatona. Yeah, a boring world where concepts of dirty jokes don't exist. Yeah, I'm going to discuss this one. I figured out why not. It's short, it'll take me too long to get through it. And they only adapt the first 2 books of the series, so probably discussing it in the future. Probably after I basically get through these stack of books. Yeah, I'm going to read basically not only the 13th book for ReZero, but also these 4 light novels. Basically, I'm going to be reading these 4 books here. Which is going to be Konosuba, Book 7. Is It Wrong Type of Girls Dungeon, Book 13. And Now We're on My Smartphone, Book 8. And Aphrodiia, Book 5. Yes. At the very end of these 4 books, I will start reading the light novels for how do you pronounce this name? The abbreviated name is Shimosuke. Yeah, I'm going to be discussing this sometime in the near future, probably in the next week or 2. Depends on how long it takes me to get through these 4 light novels, okay? So yeah, that's a particular view. My next 2 videos are going to be 2 comic corners. One is going to wrap up 2 series. The other one are 2 Batman trades. I'll be discussing those next. Okay, see you next video. Bye.